Hello, 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 and welcome to the latest episode of And Sarah Appeared. My name is Sarah, and it appears that we have a bit of confusion, convoluted, loaded conversation. I just saw a snippet of Fox Soul, and the panel on Fox Soul were discussing Amber Rose and Jocelyn Hernandez. Apparently, they're on College Hill. I remember College Hill on BET. Let me tell you, I was a kid. Oh my God, how old was I when I was watching it? I want to say I want to say it was right before I entered the ninth grade. And yeah, no, it was definitely before I entered the ninth grade. I want to say seventh and eighth grade. I was on the College Hill kick because I would watch that on BET right before I would watch like Comic View and everything else. Now, when I hit the ninth grade, it was all Flavor of Love. It was Flavor of Love. It was Charm School. It was all. I'm not gonna front. Flavor of Love. That was all I knew. That was all. And anybody who was everybody who was a fan of New York, Miss Tiffany Pollard. So at the end of the day and at the beginning of the sentence, I don't know what you were doing in ninth grade, but I was on the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning watching Flavor of Love, having my mind blown. Okay. So anyways, with that being said, Amber Rose and Jocelyn Hernandez are on College Hill. I do not watch the show. I didn't even know College Hill was back, and I guess this is like a celebrity edition. And I guess they have them at a historical black college, where I don't know really what the plot is, or like if it's like they're going back to school, are they actually doing curriculum, or are they just doing something like the Real World, where like, and the only like Real World I can, like, honestly, the only person I can name from there is like Karamo, but like I did used to watch the Real World, and I did used to watch Big Brother as well, but like with that, I remember College Hill. I don't know what's going on with this College Hill, but I did see the snippet of Fox Soul, and the panel on Fox Soul were discussing, I guess it was, and let me name the panel. It was Claudia, Al, and Funky Dineva. I am very familiar with that individual, that personality. Huge fan. And they were talking about Amber Rose and Jocelyn Hernandez had gotten into some sort of altercation, a brawl. They didn't show a clip of it, but the brawl or the altercation started because there was conversation around Amber Rose stating that she did not identify with being African American. Now, I've known Amber Rose to be Cape Verdean. The only thing before I knew she was Cape Verdean, the only Cape Verdean I knew was Cesaria Evoria. I think I'm saying her name right. She's a singer, and I love her. I love Cesaria Evoria. I love her. She has songs like Silencio y Tiempo. She sings in Portuguese. She's Angola, na 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 na. Like, I love her music, right? So that was like the only thing I knew about Cape Verdeans. Like, I knew her music. And then I found out Amber Rose was Cape Verdean. I was like, okay, yeah, go off, sis. But me being like the kind of like the Nat Geographic juggernaut that I am, I kind of looked up some information on Cape Verdean people, and I understood the culture to be a mixed, blended culture of, African people who were colonized by the Portuguese, which I was familiar that they spoke the Portuguese language because Cesaria Evoria is like one of my favorite Portuguese singers. And I was like, oh, okay. I started doing a little more research, and one of the things that Miss Claudia had stated, which I can definitely confirm, because of what I had looked up years ago, Cape Verdean people, because the Portuguese had colonized them, and the other countries that we know that the Portuguese have colonized are Angola, and also Brazil. We understand that there are race relations. There are heavy class systems because it's more favorable to look and be European phenotype than it is to be the colonized African phenotype. I don't know why this shocks anyone because it's the same thing with African Americans. We put a less blacker phenotype on a pedestal, or put it up as, this is what we want to represent as our culture, versus a pure African American phenotype, which would be, darker skin, fuller features, coarser hair texture, someone like myself. So with that being said, fuller body figure as well. But that's all because of colonization. So I don't know why people are like kind of so I understand why Miss Claudia would be taken aback, because the Cape Verdean culture is very outright forthcoming with how they feel about how you should look and what is considered a preferable preference. Black African Americans are very covert. We like to play nice nasty. And on the front lines in front of everybody, we're like, oh yeah, we come in all shades, we come in all colors, we love each other, da 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 da. But behind the scenes, it is very, very hostile when it comes to darker skin, people, darker skinned women especially. So I don't know what, kind of what the up in arms about that is, but I do get it. You're not used to seeing people who are naturally Cape Verdean people. They look like anything from the Portuguese to a traditional African phenotype, but because they're so heavily mixed in blood, a lot of them, and because they also mix their own blood, you don't see a whole lot of them being really dark in nature, in color. But with that being said, and that's because they do believe in making sure that their bloodlines, are more are mixed. Which, hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I don't, for me, I really don't care. I don't understand why people are so hung up on race and color. I think we should teach our children who are mixed, you have the best of both worlds. I think it's really unfair to make children choose between being black or being white. And a lot of it too is also on the fault of white society, because white society still has an air of racism where white people don't tend to take to black features that are found in, black culture. If you have mixed children and your children come out with tanner skin and, curlier hair, a lot of the times they're going to be too black to be in white society and too white to be in black society. So we have dropped the ball on both sides. But I also don't think it's fair for black people to always carry the responsibility of taking in, biracial children, or taking in biracial people. I don't think it's our responsibility to take all the brunt of, oh well, this is your issue, this is your job. Black people need to start calling out the white side as well. But also at the same time, there's a lot of biracial kids who grow up with their white side of their family, and they don't really grow up with their black side of their family because of race relations issues or absentee fathers or absentee mothers, whatever the issue is. And also it leaves these kids kind of like, when they go into society and they go to immerse into black culture, it leaves them kind of feeling fetishized or either rejected altogether. If you're a female and you're biracial, you are immediately sexualized and fetishized. If you are a male and you're biracial and you go into the black community, you're kind of rejected. So with that being said, it's a very sticky, ugly situation. But here's the thing that happened with Miss Jocelyn Hernandez and Miss Amber Rose. Miss Amber Rose voiced her opinion and stated that she does not identify with being African American. Now, with that being said, the snippet of the segment cuts to the panelists voicing their opinions and stating, hey, she capitalized off of being a part of the black community, and we accept her as being black in our community, and it's very disheartening that she would say something like that after she has capitalized off of our dollars. And this is what I have to say before I even get started on the Jocelyn Hernandez thing. This is what I have to say about this. Black people choose and pick who they want to represent their culture in the media. You chose Amber Rose. Amber Rose was a stripper in Philly, okay? Nothing wrong with strippers. I absolutely love strippers. You know me. I've taken pole dancing classes before. I plan on taking more pole dancing classes. I think pole dancing is still woman empowerment, and I love strippers, and I love how pole dancing makes my body feel. But off of that tangent, let me tell you something. You put Amber Rose on that pedestal, black people, especially black men. You put Amber Rose at the forefront, and you put her on that pedestal of being a representation of what you would want in an ideal woman. And she was also one of the last of the video vixens. She was in the ludicrous "my chick bad, my chick cool, my chick do things that your chick wish she could." Like, you guys put her in that. And then she came out with the bald head, and the head was shaved down, and that's her signature look. And that's a look that traditionally African American women have been rocking since the 70s. Well, even since before that, but it was more acceptable in the 60s and the 70s. Nonetheless, it's not Amber Rose's fault that you gave her opportunities. Not saying that she didn't work hard, but because of her white skin, because of her exotic features, and because of the lack of how black she looked, you gave her opportunities in our community, be honest, and you elevated her to the status of a black celebrity. I don't believe this woman asked for this. I believe this woman capitalized off of it because you offered it to her. And who would be crazy enough to not take that? And I think this is more of accountability politics on the black community. Because if you continue to do things like that, and you continue to say, this is the representation of our black celebrity, then you're going to have to face the repercussion, or you're going to have to face the music of when this person who has black phenotype features, who comes from a black country, but who clearly could pass for a white woman, and who clearly has parents who are not traditionally African in blood type or in looks. I mean, they showed a picture of her parents. Her father looks like an Italian man. Her mother looks like a mixed woman of Latin or French descent. Her mother does not even look African American or African at all. Her parents don't look African at all. And seeing her, I'm like, no wonder she came out with blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin. But just because this woman had children by a black man, and she was also engaged to a black man, does not mean that she ever was a black African American woman. Also, she's from Cape Verdean. She's Cape Verdean. That's a total different culture than African American culture. So how are you forcing this woman to identify with a culture that she never grew up in? She might have been in Philly. She might have been in the clubs. She might have been around. And you're saying, oh, well, she capitalized off of it. No, you gave her the capitalism. Let me tell you something. Other races gatekeep. And they do it in a strategic way. They're not going to allow any Johnny-come-lately black person into their society just because their son or daughter is attracted to them. No, you've got to come bringing something to the table. You've got to come being able. Not everybody is cool like that. Black people are the only ones who are cool like that. And then you end up getting burnt in the end or getting your feelings hurt when somebody says a statement like, well, I really don't identify with being African American. Why is it wrong that she doesn't identify with being African American when you are the one that gave her the platform? You're the one that gave her the deals. You're the one that gave her the access. First of all, it was African American men who were attracted to her in the first place. And just because they were attracted to her, there's nothing wrong with that. But that didn't give anybody the right in our community to automatically say, she's one of us, she's black. There you go, handing out passes and handing out, black cards to people. And you really don't know what these people are about or what they identify with. I really don't blame Amber Rose because, like I said, has anybody even talked to her or asked her? Or did you guys just throw everything at her feet and just throw all these, things on her, and then you try to say, oh, well, she's black when it's convenient and when she needs the money. Hold on. She couldn't necessarily fit in. She could fit into white society, but because she has the body naturally of a black woman, and I know she's had some enhancements, but even before she had the enhancements, she still had what in white society they would have called her fat. Let's be honest about it. They would have said, could you lose some more weight? They would have called her fat. She naturally had a voluptuous body, even though it's more surgically enhanced, I think, now today. And also she is a lovely mama of 2. So, of course, her body is more voluptuous now. But her look and her phenotype was attractive to black men. And all I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with it. All I'm saying is, why are you trying to force her to be a part of something that she never asked for? You threw it at her and you gave it to her. And then you're trying to say she capitalized off of black culture. No, she didn't. She dated a black man who happened to be famous, and she got famous off of that. And she worked it to her advantage. That's basically it. You guys gave her that pedestal. Oh, well, she came on the scene with a bald head. You guys were attracted to that. You're so busy calling black women who have natural hair and who have bald heads themselves, bald-headed scallywag. But then when a phenotype like Amber Rose has a bald head, oh, she's a bad chick. And it's like, you didn't even ask this woman. You just automatically assumed because she was dating a black guy that she just automatically identifies with black culture. Like, you don't even know what Cape Verdean culture even consists of. So, cutting that conversation and going over to the Jocelyn Hernandez, and I'm paraphrasing, I guess she had made a qualm at, Amber Rose telling her, you just want to be white so bad. And with that being said, I really don't know how to take that, because it's like the fight, it's like the war of the exoticals. Because here's the thing, I think that the same thing happens to Jocelyn Hernandez, and I don't agree with it either. Let me explain. Jocelyn Hernandez is a Puerto Rican woman. She is an Afro-Latina. Black culture, black entertainment culture put her on Love and Hip Hop. And even though this woman is clearly Hispanic, we have identified Jocelyn Hernandez as being black. And Jocelyn Hernandez has made money off of black culture, but she has still, which she can't help it, but she has still paid homage and came out and said, hey, I'm Puerto Rican. But she has also benefited off of black culture, and I don't believe that Jocelyn Hernandez is a culture vulture either. This is a result of black media and black society are giving out black cards to people and not accepting the fact that these people have their own cultures. And because of that, because you're a black enterprise, why don't you just capitalize off of giving them their own platforms? You guys did the same thing to Amara La Negra. And the only thing is, what I do like about the Love and Hip Hop Miami is that they do incorporate Latinos in that sector of the Love and Hip Hop group. I do like how they incorporate Latinos, because in Miami has a lot of Afro-Latinos. Miami has a lot of Caribbeans. You cannot get away from the Latin culture and the Latin influence. And almost everybody is mixed with some sort of Latin. So it makes sense there. But what I'm saying is, stop being so hurt in your feelings over people, especially someone who looks like Amber Rose. You should stop being so hurt and in your feelings when people decide to say, I actually don't identify with African American culture, and I have the best of both worlds because I'm in this culture. I look white, and yet I come from a Portuguese background, but culturally I grew up around African Americans, so I have a melting pot experience. But just because you culturally grew up around African Americans doesn't mean that she identified with being African American. That's something that you guys placed upon her because of who she was dating. And also you fetishized her because of her skin color and because of her looks. Because people who have more European phenotypes in the African American community are fetishized. And so I can't get mad at homegirl. You gave her that money. She would have never been able to capitalize off of us if you didn't properly gatekeep. Oh, it's so disheartening. No, it's not. You don't gatekeep. Anybody who you think is down for the cause, you just let them come on in and get as much of our dollars as you want. And then you get your feelings hurt when they say, oh, and by the way, thank you. But I really, when I'm at home and when I'm with my family, our culture is completely different. We don't have the same culture as you guys. Yeah. And now your feelings are hurt. I don't understand that. Now, the thing with Jocelyn Hernandez is, Jocelyn Hernandez needs a platform where she's able to showcase other up-and-coming Afro-Latina women. And I feel like Jocelyn Hernandez, she is such an interesting individual. I love how she not only reps for her country and her people, but she also is forthcoming with her spiritual and her religious practices and beliefs. And I would like to see a side of Jocelyn where she's able to let you see who she is in her natural element without having to always cater to the hip-hop aspect of African American culture. What I'm trying to say is African American media outlets need to build a platform for Caribbean people and for Afro-Latino people. And we need to showcase them in their natural element, in their natural environment of who they are, separate from our culture, and showcase it to the world, but we be the ones that capitalize off of it because we're able to show a different aspect of Black people across the diaspora. Black African American people try to force other people who are either biracial or non-African American culture, but who are Black by DNA. We try to force them into our society because they don't look like the average African American person. And we try to throw this veil on them. You're automatically one of us. And the perks that comes along with it is celebrity, is access, and is dollars. It comes along with that. But when you do that, you cut off the identity of who this person is. Now, I appreciate if Jocelyn Hernandez says, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black, that's who I am. Hey, if you like it, I love it. But I'm just saying, as a Puerto Rican, as an Afro-Latina Puerto Rican woman, she is not culturally African American. And we're doing an injustice to her by forcing our culture on her and saying, oh, she's one of us, so let's go ahead and give her money to play along with being in our culture. And then the roles that you put her in don't even show the best aspects of our culture. So they're accepted to be one of us if they're a stripper, if they're provocative, if they're voluptuous, if they're all out there. Oh, you're one of us if you just out there and you give what the men in our community like. But you're not good enough to be immersed in mainstream Latin culture. You're not good enough to be in mainstream white society because black males are attracted to you. Do you see how other communities gatekeep and we follow their rules and their bylaws? I'm not saying shut Amber Rose and shut Jocelyn Hernandez out of our community. I'm saying give them their own space to be who they are. Showcase who they are. If you're interested and you find them to be a muse, if you find them to be intriguing, then showcase who they are in their authenticity and show a different side of Black people in the diaspora, but as a multi-billion-dollar culture, because African Americans, I believe, we're the wealthiest Blacks on the planet, capitalize off of the difference of the Blacks in the diaspora and still make it fair where they can make their own wealth. But stop sitting up here giving everybody a pass into our culture, dumping onto them this veil of you're African American, you Black, you're invited to the cookout. And these people don't even identify with your culture. And then you get hurt and you in your feelings because it's like, oh, but you capitalize off of us. That's code for, but we gave you our money. We gave you brand deals. We gave you money. We gave you this. We gave you that. And now you don't even identify with us? What did you think was going to happen? Especially with somebody with the phenotype of Amber Rose. Like literally, what did you think was going to happen? You think because she has Black kids that she has to identify with being a Black woman? She has a responsibility to her children to teach her children about Cape Verdean culture. And because she looks like a white woman, she has a responsibility to teach her kids who are half Black. If you want to get with somebody who looks like mommy, that's completely okay. You're not going against your people. I don't know. People, I don't know. Black people, when it comes to the media, you're not thinking. But once again, you fetishized her. And it's the same thing with Jocelyn Hernandez. You fetishize her. And it works to their advantage because they're getting a bag out of it. I mean, it definitely works. But I don't blame these women. I don't think there's anything wrong with what Amber Rose said. Amber Rose would not have had the opportunities that she had you not given it to her. You hyped her up. You fetishized her. What do you expect? She never told you that she identified with Black culture. She just got up there. She posed. She played her part. She gave you what you wanted. She had her kids. And she did what she did. You never, seriously. And now you're saying, oh, she capitalized off of Black culture. Did she? Or did she just happen to date a Black guy or happen to be into Black guys? And the Black guy that she dated was a famous rapper. And she almost got married to him. And then she got with another Black guy who was a famous rapper, got married to him, and had a kid with him. So did she fetishize? I mean, did she capitalize? Or did you guys just throw everything at her feet because you fetishized her phenotype? And I understand what Jocelyn is looking at it from the aspect of, I'm getting a check. Black people are giving me a check. White people aren't giving me a check. Hispanic people are not giving Jocelyn a check. They're not going to because of the color of her skin. They're not giving her a check. So Jocelyn is representing, Jocelyn is staying loyal because Jocelyn is saying black people are the ones that are giving me a check. White people, Hispanic people are not giving me a check. And she's telling Amber Rose, you got your check from black people. You didn't get your check from white people. You didn't get your check from Cape Verdean people. You didn't get your check from Hispanic people. You got it from black people. So how dare you sit up there and even say something like that? And then you're on a black show like BET and you're at a historically black college. But once again, who booked her for that? Who booked her for that? I mean, whose idea was to put Amber Rose on that platform? Because even though she's famous and she has, famous affiliations, there you go. Once again, you gave her a bag. You gave her a check. Why? Because of her phenotype. And I'm not saying she doesn't work hard. I'm not saying she's not deserving of anything that she's gotten. I'm not saying that. Because Amber Rose does activism work. I actually love how she is as a mom. Like, I really do. But, like, Amber Rose, and I do really love her look as a model. Like, as a model, I love her look. But when it comes to business and opportunities and things like that, you guys gave that to her. You guys gave that to her. You guys decided that was the one that, she had the look and she had the appeal and she was dating the right people. She was in a relationship with the right people. And so she had that status. But I really don't like how black society tries to make African American society try to make people who are either biracial or who are by DNA African but culturally not African American. You try to give everybody a pass and try to let everybody in at the cookout, but you don't really check people to see. It's not even that. You don't allow, and this is what I love about Jocelyn Hernandez. Jocelyn reps for her Puerto Rican people because that's who she is. You can't get away from it. She's Puerto Rican. And Jocelyn reps for her people. She does not allow you to just sit there and call her black, which, you can't because she has an accent. She speaks fluent Spanish, so you can't get away from the fact that she is Puerto Rican. But you can't sit there and say, okay, well, we're just going to throw this veil of African American on these people, on her, on anybody that we want, and we're going to give them a pass just because, it's cool, or they're not accepted by their own societies. I think you should be smart, and I think you should be able to allow people to showcase both sides of their ethnicity, of their cultural makeup, and be upfront with it. And definitely say, like, you guys do this all the time. You guys do this all the time. I think black people, and especially black media, you need to be upfront about people's cultural backgrounds to make it more comfortable for them, since this is what your allure is. You're attracted to these type of people. So you need to make a space where they can showcase both sides of who they are. They are appreciative. I believe both women are appreciative of the opportunities that African Americans have given them. But I think it can also be very suffocating as an individual to completely cut off what you know and who you are culturally. And abandon, and it's like African American culture makes you abandon everything else and just become African American. And it's like, that's crazy, because I have a whole nother society that I do belong to. So, with that being said, I just feel like African American people need to get out of their feelings. You need to do a little bit better when it comes to not only gatekeeping, but you need to do better when it comes to accepting other people for their cultural and their racial differences, their ethnic differences. Yes, somebody might be black by blood, by DNA, but if African American is not their culture, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be attracted to them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't showcase them. I'm not even saying don't give them business opportunities. I'm saying don't shun the other part of them that they are. That's what I'm saying. But I don't know. Oh, and it's another thing. Real quick, we're very accepting of women who are from different ethnic, cultural backgrounds, who come across, who we clearly see are not the traditional African American phenotype of women. But when we come across men who are not the traditional African American phenotype of men, we don't fetishize them. We actually reject them, and we have this thing where we try to make them prove themselves. The only biracial or mixed male there's only one that we actually do wholeheartedly just accept. And even then it's like, oh, you gotta prove yourself. And we always have these debates and go back and forth on how black really is this person. It's really disheartening. It's like you reject biracial men in our community, but you fetishize biracial women. But with both biracial men and women, you make them abandon their other side. And you don't even consider their other side is probably the side that also brought them up or raised them. I don't know. Food for thought. This is just a late night snack of And Sarah Appeared. Bye for now.